Today on Forbes, Trump's tariff tidal wave could drown this coconut water juggernaut. What do you do when 96% of your revenue comes from coconut water and 100% of your supply comes from tropical countries targeted by Donald Trump with high tariffs? This is exactly the situation confronting one of the nation's hottest small-cap companies today, $516 million in revenue Vita Coco of New York City, the leading maker of coconut water. Its biggest source of coconuts has heretofore been Brazil, a country now squarely in the crosshairs of a proposed 50% tariff, courtesy of the Trump administration. Its 6 other sources for coconuts aren't much better. The Philippines, tariff 19%, Malaysia, 19%, Vietnam, 20%, Indonesia, 19%, Thailand, 19%, and Sri Lanka, 20%. Still, you wouldn't know that Vita Coco was facing a Trump tariff nightmare given the company's bullish tone, or its stock performance. Shares are up nearly 32% over the past 12 months, outperforming many better-known consumer staples names. Even with the stock down roughly 5% year-to-date as the broader market rallies, Wall Street is shrugging off Vita Coco's inevitable pricing pressure. Co-founder and executive chairman Michael Kerbin insists, quote, "Brazil is really a non-issue for us if enacted. We started working on reallocating our Brazil supply, which historically goes to the United States, to supply Europe and Canada, several weeks ago." The main source of supply for Europe, meanwhile, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, and Malaysia, will now all shift to the US. Kerbin says he doesn't expect to pass any further price hikes in the coming months, but this may be wishful thinking if Trump doesn't back away from his harsh tariffs on tropical countries. On its Q2 earnings call this summer, Vita Coco CEO Martin Roper said, quote, "Our planned US-based price increase in May to cover inflationary cost of goods pressures produced an approximately 7% increase at US food retailers, according to Circana over the quarter." However, the May price increase does not include another recent price increase implemented in the current quarter, which Vita Coco management refused to provide Forbes details on. For now, Wall Street is putting its faith in Vita Coco management. By working with 7 of the largest coconut processors in the world, Vita Coco currently controls roughly 40% of the US coconut water market, far ahead of smaller competitors like Goya and Harmless Harvest. Larry Carlin, an equity analyst at $8 billion in assets Conestoga Capital Advisors, who is hopeful that Vita Coco's strong position will give it more flexibility in the face of looming tariffs, says, quote, "Coca-Cola tried to enter this market, buying Zico, and Pepsi also failed. They've developed a supply chain with substantial barriers to entry." Founded by 2 friends in 2003 after a chance barroom encounter in Manhattan, Vita Coco met early success in its first decade, thanks in part to celebrity investors including Madonna, Demi Moore, and Matthew McConaughey. However, about a decade into their journey, growing pains hit. Thin margins, distribution hiccups, and a rocky 2021 IPO kept many institutions away. But over the past 2 years, the company has executed a disciplined turnaround, tightening its supply chain after the COVID pandemic. It has also expanded its portfolio of offerings into protein-infused Powerlift, aluminum-canned Ever and Ever water, and most recently, the coconut milk-based beverage line Vita Coco Treats. Up until the onslaught of Trump's tariffs, Vita Coco was the envy of the Russell 2000, appearing near the top of Forbes' Best Small Companies ranking in 2024. The stock is up 133% since its IPO, and 5-fold from its low in 2022. On the company's second quarter earnings call, CFO Corey Baker noted that Vita Coco is pursuing a formal tariff exemption request with US trade officials. If that isn't granted, management basically told shareholders to brace themselves. Baker says, quote, "If the 50% Brazilian tariff is enacted, we would ultimately need to pass through price increases." For full coverage, check out Sergey Klebnikov's piece on forbes.com. This is Kieran Meadows from Forbes. Thanks for tuning in.